welcome. In today's episode, I'm here with Sophia Hutchinson, all the way from England.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thank you.
You're listening to Unleashed by Nonstop Dogwear.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Of course. So I'm Sophia. I'm a dog photographer from England and the owner of two Dalmatians called Django and Amber.
In today's episode, we were thinking to talk a bit about traveling with dogs, since you're an avid traveler yourself. Most recently, you have been actually doing a road trip all the way to Switzerland with your dogs. So I will ask a few questions about that. So first, just to start off, what got you into traveling with dogs?
So I think it was all down to wanting to take them with us and create memories. Dalmatians are quite high energy dogs, and they do need a lot of attention. So finding, if we were to leave them at home, we would have to find a suitable dog sitter for them, which can be quite hard. And we know that Django, my male Dalmatian, he's very sensitive about who he's with, and he has to trust them over time. So it was also just more comfortable for us knowing that he was going to be happier if he just came on holiday with them. So
I think that's something that so many people can relate to. It's not easy to find someone you dare to trust your dogs with.
no, exactly. And I think all of our dogs have like different quirks and different needs, and it takes a while to understand like how they communicate.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's also like an ease of mind for ourselves.
In the beginning, once you started out traveling, or even maybe today as well, you mentioned that Dalmatians are quite high energy dogs. How does that work together with the traveling?
Really easy, surprisingly. So we just did 10 days, I think, in Switzerland in a campervan. So obviously you're limited on space, which is another thing to think about. But it was because the traveling itself is tiring for dogs. So that you have to factor in mind like enough time for them to rest. I think that's the biggest thing, because even though they sleep in the camper van when you're driving, that's still tiring because they're not getting like the full sleep and like the peaceful sleep that they would get at home, like in their own space. So you always have to, what we did, we would factor in like rest stops where even during the day we might just do like absolutely nothing for like 2 hours just so we know they're getting enough sleep. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things we learned.
That's very interesting, because one would think that it's all about just like the activity and everything. But yeah, it is really tiring for the dogs to travel, all the
Yeah.
new experiences to take in. Did you ever find that challenging, that it's a completely new place, a completely new situation? How do your dogs take that?
Yeah, so just with some of the methods of travel that were new to the dogs, we'd have to like ease them into it and understand that it's a completely new environment for them. So we went into what's like the Eurotunnel from England to France, which is essentially a train underground under the sea. So it's a completely different. They've never done anything like it. And when we got on there, we could see they were, a bit spooked, like, where am I? What is this?
Yeah.
What are these noises? So we just use it as a training exercise. So always making sure you've got, whatever method is good for positive reward training. So we had treats, and it's basically you're on holiday, but you're using everything like a training exercise to make sure they're comfortable. So then on the way back, when we were back on the train, they were completely fine with it, like completely relaxed and just slept the entire way. Another example is when we were in Switzerland, of course, we got quite a few gondolas up to the mountains. And the first one we were planning to go up to, they'd been on one before, so I kind of knew how they would respond. But this one was a 25-minute gondola ride. So, yeah, quite a long one. To be honest, I probably had more anxiety over it than the dogs. So I planned to have like some frozen licky mats for them, just something to keep them distracted and, engaged on. So yeah, we did that, and they were fine, absolutely fine, just completely chilled. And I've shared some videos of them just like nosing, looking outside the gondola at everything around of the scenery. So
That's amazing. One of my dogs is so terrified of heights. I think it would
Aw.
have been his nightmare. But it sounds like that you're just so prepared ahead of the situation. So that's like a very good advice to other people to, really like, okay, think about the different parts that you will do of your trip, stuff that you might not think about as something like new or maybe challenging, but the dogs, they experience it very differently, so be prepared for that.
That's exactly it. Like we had kind of trialed a shorter gondola ride before, so we had an idea of how they would be. But it is just kind of putting your like mind in their perspective of what something's going to be totally new and out of their comfort zone, and just being prepared to help them be comfortable.
Did you ever get in a situation where you had to just like turn or change plans because of the dogs?
Yeah, we did actually in Switzerland. So we had planned so many like hikes and amazing adventures in the day, but Django, he started to get stiff on his back and his his right side, and so we had to obviously put him first and like cancel those plans and just have like a plan B option, which is why we took a lot of the gondolas up to the mountain, because he could only do a limited amount of exercise before he got stiff. So we would kind of just find an alternative solution that was for him really, and just take it a bit easier. So we did miss out on a few things, but it just means we'll have to go back again.
Yeah, true that. When you're traveling in the UK, do you also use a camper when there, or do you just do road trips with your own car?
We just do road trips in our own car, super easy. I mean, it's already set up with, the crate, and so, yeah, it's just easy to get in and go and explore with them.
What type of accommodation do you choose then when you're traveling within England?
We do a mixture, to be honest, but a lot of them are maybe like Airbnbs or self-catering. Mainly our dogs, we know them, they like their own space, so it's just easier to manage that way.
Do you have any special ways to prepare for sleeping in a way someone else's house, or in like a completely different environment than your actual home?
Yeah, so I think it's important to obviously bring their own beds, something they're familiar with and comfortable with that they use at home, just so then they can kind of settle in a lot more easier. Our dogs, even though they don't sleep on like the beds or furnitures at home, as soon as they get somewhere new, they're like, yes, let me on. So we always have to bring like blankets, because we check what the terms and conditions are within that kind of the accommodation, because some people say, no, you can't have any dogs on furniture, which, you have to respect.
Yes.
But some do. And so for those ones, we always bring our own blankets or bedding, just so we can, be respectful, keep everything protected, and then the dogs get a nice comfy sleepover.
Do you feel like the dogs, in a way, grow with each trip? Like, do you see any difference between maybe your first trips and the trips you're taking now?
Definitely. I'd say their confidence has grown like dramatically compared to like that very first trip we did. They're just so much more at ease with kind of new experiences. They're not fazed by a lot. And it's really good socialization just for other people, because Django had like an issue of reactive barking through like windows or cars, but because he was exposed to it in such a positive way on our holidays, that's kind of like ease now, so he's a lot more comfortable to just people watch, which is quite
amazing.
funny. Yeah, you just see him sat in the driver's seat looking around.
Well, that's super. That he was probably like exposed in a positive way, and then it's just like, that's very cool.
Yeah, I think honestly, the dogs just love going on holiday. It's like a massive holiday for them, so
It obviously does limit a bit where you can go, because I don't know if you tried flying with dogs before.
no, I've not done flying with dogs. Mainly for me, because I have a fear of flying myself.
Okay.
So, like, I feel I'd be worrying about too much stuff if I had my dogs on the
I
plane.
completely understand.
But I think if I had a smaller dog, because I know some airlines allow the smaller dogs onto like the cabin area, I think I'd feel comfortable knowing, the dog's like there, I can see him or her. But with my dogs being so big, they would have to like go within
in cargo.
cargo. So yeah, I haven't flown, so I can't. Yeah, maybe one day, but.
Yeah, no, but I think it's really nice not to fly everywhere. So my question would be actually like how to find adventures around your home place, places that does not require you to fly to a completely new country, but just like, traveling locally with the car.
Yeah, so I guess it, all depends on where you live, but it's so easy. Like so many places are dog friendly now, and the way we actually plan our holidays is we kind of look at like a location we want to see, and then we look around that for all the dog friendly like amenities like whether there's an accommodation that's dog friendly locally, or whether there might be a restaurant that allows dogs that where we can actually go out and eat if we wanted to. But we've never found it difficult at all. I think so many places are a lot more dog friendly now, and even for reactive dogs, then a lot of places are a lot more accommodating. So yeah, definitely shouldn't stop anyone.
Yeah, I think maybe during the recent like the lockdowns, then it became a bit more popular to travel within your own country, and I very much support that because I feel like whenever I go to my home place, and sometimes I just look at it with a bit more like touristic eye,
Yeah.
I can explore so much more.
Yeah.
So it's and then the dogs can join, so it's just the perfect combination.
Yeah, it is. And I think like after that lockdown lifted, that was what got us out to like our first kind of like staycations in the UK, and we started exploring more of our own country. So which we had never done. I think that the first year we must have gone to about 5 places we've never been to before with the dogs. So
That's super cool. Many dogs, I don't know if that's the case with your dog, but they are very much needing like a daily routine. They have that like, okay, we get up, we eat, we do the normal things. Are your dogs needing a routine, and how does it work when you're traveling?
yes, so I think every dog's different in that way. So Amber, our female Dalmatian, she's so easygoing in a sense. She doesn't need a routine. She'll just go with the flow. But Django, he has to have a routine. If he doesn't, he's confused. He gets a bit unsettled. So whenever we travel, we always make sure that he eats at exactly the same time. You know, he would have like his normal, what we would call like just a toilet walk at the same time, so like morning and evening, as well as whatever we would do during the day, and like sleeping arrangements we would try to keep like the same.
And that's very useful to know, because I know some dogs, they get just like very confused now. What is happening? New place, new environment, everything is new, and not even the routine is the same.
Yeah,
It's
and
like amazing to help them with that.
yeah, definitely. And I think because sometimes you can overthink it, and you can see your dog maybe just being a bit more unsure, maybe doing some different behavior, and the reason for it is just because of the routines change. So it's so important to keep it for them.
Traveling in summer, did you find that more challenging than traveling at other times of the year?
I would say a little bit, yes. So we didn't plan to travel in August. We would have chosen to travel earlier in the year when we knew the temperatures would have been cooler. So for this trip, knowing when we were going to travel, we obviously researched what the weather temperatures were going to be. Some days were looking a bit too hot for the dogs, where I wouldn't want to take them out or have them exercising because it would be unsafe. So for those days, I looked into some activities or locations where the temperature would be lower. So those were the days when we took the gondola up to the mountain, so it was cooler for them. So yeah, we just managed it like that and just made sure we planned and
Yeah,
kept
but
them
that's
safe.
super. Have some alternatives. Yeah, higher up, or maybe by water, or just like
Yeah.
a more chill day than planned originally.
Yeah, but it's definitely very important to check the temperature of where you're going, because there's nothing worse than on like a day when it's 30 degrees and you look outside and you see dogs being walked.
Yes,
Yeah.
I also obviously I feel like if they are live around the area, they are maybe a bit more exposed to
Yes,
it and get a bit more
definitely.
used to it. But I also feel the same, that sometimes I see dogs out in the weather where like my dogs are just like put in the shadow with their
Yeah.
water bowls and like, oh please, just like
Yeah,
don't do
still.
too much. So it's very challenging, I feel, because sometimes even while one is driving, the car just gets so warm if you don't have like perfect or air conditioning, or maybe the dogs are traveling like in the back part of the car and it's
Yeah.
not the same air
Yes.
ventilation system. So it's definitely something to think about as well when traveling in the summer, that even during the drive, the
Yeah.
cargo part can really warm up.
Yeah, we found that, and we've actually managed to find, it was actually a friend who bought them for me. They're like fans you put at the back of the crate just to help that circulation of air. So it's another
Yes, we also
handy.
put up this small thermometer that is
Yeah.
actually like showing us the temperature in the different
Oh, that's
boxes,
really
and then we're like,
handy.
no, okay, now we have to stop and air out and take out the dogs, because it's
Yeah.
just like not
Because you
not
forget when
looking
you're
good.
up at the front with like the
Yes, with all the air
on you.
conditioning, it just comes at you. Also, sometimes, because in the summer it's so nice to like make them swim, and then we would like travel further. But it gets so humid in the back, so then we would after a while probably just like stop and really like air out the car.
Yeah.
So it definitely has its own challenges. But then again, in the winter it's cold, so then some people might find that more challenging.
Yeah, it all depends on the dogs as well, and like how they respond to different temperatures.
Yes, absolutely. Would you have like a general tip for anyone looking into traveling with their dogs, or like your best tip for traveling with dogs?
Yeah, I think definitely don't have any hesitancy, because I think sometimes it can be overwhelming when you start to think about it. I think the first thing, try a staycation in like your own country, your own area, and you'll see how easy it is. I mean, it's just what we do every day, but we're just doing it somewhere else.
Yes, true that. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and tips with us. I think we got some just very good insight into traveling with dogs. So I look forward to follow your next travels on
Thank
your
you.
profile.
Thank you
I
very
hope
much.
to see you soon again.
Thank you.